as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to have a lot to talk about, Isaac, today. I know people are going to be waking up, looking outside and going, oh, what tropical storm? What are we talking about here? Patience, my friends. Lots to get to. Let's start with the radar picture. You can see as it moves over the past little while, there are some spiral bands of showers trying to pinwheel around the system, and some are going to give us a couple of sprinkles right now. More will develop throughout the day. This storm has encountered a ton of dry air, and that really limited the kind of rain that we're able to see, which, by the way, not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, that's actually a really good thing. But that dry air is being chewed up, and as that happens, we're going to start to see a few changes in Isaac. Right now, most of the real impressive outflow of the convection, all the good stuff with a tropical storm, down to the south, which is the preferred side for it to be on for all the coastal residents. But now what's happening is that dry air that's been pulled into the system for the last 6 to 8 hours is starting to get chewed back up by that more humid, that more moist, that more explosive air, and that's going to help this storm itself ramp up a little bit more. Still can't pick up a very distinct center of circulation. I mean, a real well distinct eye, though it looks maybe like one is trying to form. Once the visible satellite imagery starts going a little bit later this morning, I think we're going to get a better handle on that, and I think that'll be the last piece of the puzzle before we start calling Tropical Storm Isaac Hurricane Isaac. Now, we still have those hurricane warnings west of Pensacola, expecting hurricane-like conditions soon. And east of Pensacola, we've got tropical storm-like conditions expected with the tropical storm warnings. We are still going to see some wind, we're still going to see some rain, and there's liable to be a little bit of surge all along the Gulf Coast from our area all the way around to Texas. What's going on with Isaac now is his winds are at 70 miles per hour. I mean, that is borderline hurricane, but not quite. Motion is very slow, 10 to 12 miles per hour to the north right now, northwest. The internal pressure, 977 millibars, is very low. That is hurricane strength, but we're not there yet officially. Likely to become so later on. As it works its way into the southeast and it moves very slow, there could be some huge rainfall amounts in other areas of the southeast. For us right now, the radar pretty clear. Just a couple of sprinkles at times. As we go through the day today, it's not going to be all day steady soaking rains. It'll be periods of rain. We saw some of those yesterday, though it didn't amount to a lot of rain officially. At the airport in Tallahassee and Nichols worth. In Perry, not even a quarter's worth. Apalachicola, closer to a half inch, and in Cross City almost 2/3 of an inch. 79 degrees, 77 for Tallahassee, Thomasville. Temperature-wise, it's not been a problem. Numbers in the 70s and 80s, that's where they're going to stay throughout the day. There is a decent breeze out there, mostly in that 8 to 18 mile per hour zone, especially the further south and west we go, and I think it goes more like 10 to 20 throughout the day today. A wider picture shows some of those winds off to the west, closer to 15 to 25 miles per hour, so it's certainly breezy along the Gulf Coast, but definitely nothing we can't handle. It will get breezier as the storm works its way further to the north. Remember, it's moving real slow. Now, there are showers trying to spiral their way in from the south. That's not going to change either. That's an all-day thing. Now, it's not all-day steady rains, but as these bands come ashore, there will be periods of rain. Some of that rain could be heavy at times, and the best possibility for the heaviest rains are going to be in our western areas. The storm itself is massive. The winds extend out more than 200 miles in most directions, and that means even if the storm is still a couple of hundred miles offshore, people along the Gulf Coast are going to start feeling the effects. And you can see here on the water vapor imagery all these darker colors slowly being replaced by the whites and the greens. That's the drier air being gobbled up by the more humid air. One of the other issues that we're going to be watching is that storm surge. Our high tides are finished for the morning. Our next round of high tides around lunchtime, then again after midnight tonight, and then into tomorrow afternoon. These next 2 or 3 sets of high tides is when we could see the storm surge in our inlets, maybe a foot to 3 feet above normal. I don't think we're going to be in the big storm surge category, but the further west you go, they could be talking 4 to 8 foot above normal high tides, and of course that's going to aggravate some flooding concerns as well. Winds on the Gulf today, east and south, 20 to 30 knots with higher gusts. Go way offshore, those winds get higher, the seas get higher too, and yeah, it's going to be rough in the bays. 70s and 80s this morning. Rain chances, I'm leaving at 70%. Higher west, lower east, but I think we all have a pretty good shot to see some rain at times today. Cloudy, breezy, call for occasional showers, and that doesn't mean it's going to rain nonstop all day. Don't expect to go outside and be in a monsoon all day. It's not going to be that way. There'll be periods where it's not raining at all, but there'll also be periods where you get some decent downpours in spots, so be ready for them. There's your 3-day planner. Just because we're not seeing the bad or the worst of the weather here and now doesn't mean things can't change quickly throughout the day. I don't think we're going to get the full brunt of this storm. That's good. but I do think we're going to get impacts of it, so be ready for it. Have the umbrellas with you. Just be careful. Center of the storm probably someplace over here. Probably there's some of this drier air sneaking in on this side. That's been causing some problems with the storm generating itself. This is going to be the perfect opportunity this weekend when the weather's going to be nice to get your houses ready, to get your cars ready, to get your supplies, just in case. It could still turn into a nothing, but it could still turn into something huge. We just don't know yet. We'll know a lot more by Sunday.
You actually be described as a bite of heaven today, Rob. How's it looking out there?
It's going to be better than it's been around here. We'll talk Isaac and all that stuff in a minute. May I point out today is National Sponge Cake Day. Where's Miss Maria when we need her? Let's talk about the tropics and all the weather coming up right after this. Yeah, this is going to be a great weekend, by the way, to get, if you've got some things outside that need to get put away, just in case we get some kind of weather, this would be a good time to get that done. It's going to be a great weekend for the end of August. We've got some nice weather to look forward to, much brighter, much drier, but a lot of our focus is going to be on what's coming our way by maybe next Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, and it's still a gigantic maybe at this point. And that's the one thing we got to keep reiterating. It does look mean now. It's having a little trouble still defining its center. Doesn't look mostly impressive, at least not for a classic tropical cyclone, but it's expansive. I mean, it's the entire width of the Caribbean right now, bringing some wind and some rain to parts of Hispaniola, and it's definitely more south than it looked like it would be a day or two ago. And these things have a way of just changing their mind and moving a couple of 100 miles here and there. So that's why we watch and we wait and we see and we don't overreact to things. Cuba is up here, Jamaica's over here, and these are the next islands in the path of Isaac as we go through the next 24 to 36 hours. Currently, it's located 230 miles southeast of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. The winds are at 45 miles per hour, so the internal winds are strong enough, and the way it's looking is they may get a little bit stronger as we go through the next morning hour. I think what's going to happen when we get to the 8 o'clock advisories, we'll start to see a slightly stronger storm, but still not a really well-defined one. Then as it gets closer towards Cuba, depending on how much of that island nation it has to go over, go through, or deal with, that's going to change the structure of the storm a little bit by the time we get to Monday. And once we get to Monday, and we're talking about the Florida Straits or the Gulf of Mexico, now we start to lock in on what part of the Gulf Coast it will be headed towards and what kind of shape the storm will be in by the time it gets there. Now, this is all better news for the Republican National Convention on Monday in Tampa. It won't be anywhere near that far just yet. And the east coast of Florida now getting taken outside of the potential forecast track, though all of this can keep changing, and that's why we keep stressing, keep checking in with us. We'll keep you up to date as things adjust and as things get rerouted. We'll definitely let you know. The radar picture for today, by the way, as dry and as bright as it's looked in a long time. And our forecast is looking real nice for our Friday, for our Saturday, and for our Sunday. Temperatures yesterday topped out in the mid-80s in Tallahassee. Saw some 90s in South Georgia. We'll see some 90s in more areas today. I'm loving the fact that it's 64 in Thomasville with a dew point of 63. Drier air, more comfortable air. Even in Tallahassee where it's 70, that dew point of 67 makes it feel a little bit better outside. It's going to help make it look a little bit better outside. 63 is our number in Live Oak, 66 in Perry, 68 in Moultrie. These 60s are good stuff for late August, and I think all weekend long we can see those for morning temperatures. Now the visibility in Bainbridge down to 4 miles. It's been bouncing around a little bit with some of that patchy fog, but not like we saw earlier this week. Drier air is the layer and going to be for another day or two at least, even at the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that's part of why we're in for a brighter looking weekend. This is what's left of Tropical Depression Joyce. This is a new tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa. We'll keep our eyes on both of those. Neither one going to have any impact on our weather anytime soon. Let's go on the Gulf. East to northeast winds 5 to 15 knots. Your seas 1 to 3 feet. We'll put a light chop in the bays. If you've got the big fishing plans these next 2 or 3 days, you can get them done. Once we get towards Monday, Tuesday, the Gulf waters are going to start churning a bit as that storm moves a little bit further north. Low 90s, rain chances like 30%. Not as many showers today. Eastern area is the best shot. I think back near 70 tonight with more patchy fog. Let's call it partly cloudy. All right, 5-day forecast time. Looks real good through Sunday. Monday things start to change, and all bets are off come Tuesday.